Secretary Noem, is it the policy of the Department of Homeland Security to follow orders issued by federal courts?
Yes, we are following all federal court orders.
So the answer is yes?
We are following all federal court orders, yes.
Well, Secretary Noem, we all took an oath to uphold the laws and Constitution of the United States. It is a sad day that I have to sit here and issue a reminder. You and the Department of Homeland Security must respect the Constitution and the courts. Remember, Secretary Noem, the Constitution of the United States establishes a federal government divided into three branches. It is Congress that makes the laws, the President who takes care that the laws are faithfully executed, and it is the judicial department that says what the law is. The constitutional separation of powers and system of checks and balances is necessary for the protection of liberty, and any violation undermines the rights and liberties of everyone in the United States. The Trump administration has repeatedly ignored the federal courts, including the Supreme Court. President Trump has even said that, and I quote, doesn't know, end quote, whether he has to uphold the Constitution. The President of the United States said, doesn't know. Secretary Noem, is it the policy of the Department of Homeland Security to follow orders issued by federal courts?
Yes, we are following all federal court orders.
So the answer is yes?
We are following all federal court orders, yes.
Well, as just one of the many examples, a federal judge required FEMA, and I quote, immediately cease, in the code, efforts to withhold disbursement of federal grant funding appropriated by Congress. The court later found evidence that FEMA, an agency under your purview, was in direct violation of the court orders. So court orders were not followed, as you see. Yes or no?
We are following court orders. Grants are being reevaluated, but they are being obligated and appropriated according to how Congress has laid out.
Well, Secretary Noem, we all took an oath to uphold the laws and Constitution of the United States. It is a sad day that I have to sit here and issue a reminder. You and the Department of Homeland Security must respect the Constitution and the courts. Mr. Chairman, I want to yield my rest of my time to the gentleman from New York.
Gentleman yields. Mr. Goldman's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Thanedar. Secretary Noem, your opening statement includes a lot of data and numbers, but it doesn't mention asylum.
What we just witnessed wasn't simply a tense back and forth. It was Shri Thanedar trying to defend the very architecture of American democracy against a creeping disregard for constitutional boundaries. He begins by grounding the moment in first principles. The Constitution divides power between three branches of government. Congress makes the laws, the President enforces them, and the courts interpret and apply them. This balance isn't ceremonial, it's the mechanism that keeps liberty intact. When one branch dismisses or undermines the others, the danger isn't theoretical. History shows us over and over that when the executive ignores the judiciary, democracy slides toward authoritarianism. Thanedar wants the record to reflect that this isn't an academic debate. It's a question of whether the Constitution itself is being honored. So when he asks Kristi Noem directly whether DHS follows federal court orders, the question sounds simple, but it isn't simple at all. It is a test of integrity, a test of truth. Noem answers yes, of course they do, but Thanedar doesn't let her hide behind easy words. He cites a case where FEMA, under DHS authority, was explicitly ordered by a federal judge to stop withholding congressionally approved funds. The judge's language wasn't vague. It said, immediately cease. Yet FEMA continued in violation of that very order. This is where Thanedar exposes the contradiction. Either DHS leadership ignored the courts, or they lost control of their own agency. Either way, the Constitution was disrespected. His reminder cuts deep. We all took an oath to uphold the Constitution. It is a sad day that I have to sit here and issue a reminder. Think about that. A member of Congress having to remind a cabinet-level official of her oath. That is not business as usual. That is a warning flare. What makes this exchange especially important is the precedent it sets. If FEMA can ignore a federal judge's order on funding, then what stops any agency from ignoring a ruling on civil rights, or environmental protections, or voting access? These aren't minor bureaucratic squabbles. They are questions about whether the government itself is bound by law. Once an agency begins to act as though court rulings are optional, then ordinary citizens lose their most vital safeguard, the ability to appeal to an independent judiciary when their rights are threatened. Thanedar's questioning, then, is more than just oversight. It's a fight to preserve accountability. He's not arguing for or against a single grant program. He's arguing for the survival of checks and balances. He's pointing out that if the executive branch can defy court orders with no consequence, then the separation of powers collapses. And once that collapses, liberty itself is in jeopardy. Now, let's bring this down from the halls of Congress to you at home. Ask yourself, if FEMA can ignore a judge in Washington, what happens when it's your community affected, your disaster relief, your school funding, your healthcare protections? If agencies can ignore rulings without consequence, then everyday Americans have no shield. The stakes here are not abstract, they're deeply personal. That's why hearings like this matter. They are not theater. They are the last line of defense against power going unchecked. Shri Thanedar, by pressing Kristi Noem, was not just making a political point. He was drawing a line in the sand and telling DHS, you cannot pick and choose when to follow the Constitution. And this is where the responsibility extends to all of us. Democracy survives only if the people insist that their leaders respect the rule of law. If the courts can be ignored, then our votes, our voices, and our rights are at risk. So don't treat this as just another heated moment in Congress. Treat it as a reminder of why vigilance matters. Share this story, keep the pressure on, and let those in power know that Americans are watching. Because when accountability dies in silence, democracy doesn't last long after. If you care about protecting the Constitution, if you believe no one, not even government agencies, should be above the law, then this is the moment to stay engaged. Don't just watch and move on. Share this video so more people understand what's at stake. Leave your thoughts in the comments and make your voice part of the record. And if you want to keep seeing these moments exposed and broken down, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because accountability only survives when we refuse to look away.